Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for X-Men 97 Episode 9, Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. We will be going into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, make sure to go check it out. This is the penultimate episode of the season, and boy was it a banger. A lot of really cool stuff happened. We have some very interesting fights, some very interesting character decisions. We now have the X-Men have to really fight a war on two fronts now that Magneto is back out in the world after he shut down the power. Also, this means that the Earth could disappear. Yeah, it's really all out for the battle and the supremacy and the control. Um, and it just the X-Men have nowhere else to turn other than themselves. So let's get into it. So we open up with everyone kind of regrouping. We have Charles back at the mansion. Um, it's really interesting that he wakes up in a bed at the mansion, but he doesn't have his normal wheelchair, right? The yellow like motor chair that he has. So he finds another wheelchair. Uh, Obviously, this is very different from the technology that he was using while he was in space. Also, Magneto, we catch up with him back with his full outfit, right? No more of just the undies in space. He puts on his old helmet and he's back to being the Magneto of old, the one that only really has that one purpose. We see him dig out asteroid M from the water. And then we also see Bastion back at his home, putting his, I guess, the Sentinel that was his mom, putting her back into his home, his childhood home, as we saw in the last episode. So the X-Men make a plan to stop both Bastion and Magneto. They need Magneto to reverse the polarity. Whatever he did that last episode, they need him to undo that because the Earth will die without him changing that. And of course, if they do that, all the Sentinels turn back on. So they're really stuck between a rock and a hard place. But the X-Men split up into different groups. We'll get into all that. Before everything happens, Magneto does go into the mansion or close to the mansion to talk to Xavier. And by this point, Xavier has had a few conversations, one including with Scott. And Scott's pretty disappointed with the professor. They kind of had a little falling out. But yeah, Magneto goes in. He extends an offer to any of the X-Men to join him on Asteroid M, as that will be really the only thing that survives, right? Magneto is not letting go and is not forgiving anyone for what happened in Genosha. We, we see that Roberto da Costa agrees to go with Magneto, and then very unsurprisingly, probably Rogue also agrees to go with Magneto. Now, by this point, Rogue is wearing a different outfit, very similar to closer to the 2012 iteration of her costume, which is more the solid green, a little bit more loose fitting, and I think that kind of represents her turn into a different character. So that was interesting to see. The rest of the X-Men move on with their plan. So we have uh, Team Team Blue is going after Magneto, which is comprised of Cyclops, um, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Jubilee, and the Professor. Team Gold is the rest of the X-Men. We do have a really nice moment where Jubilee hugs Storm as she comes back with Forge. That was earlier in the episode, but she's also part of the other team. So in Team Gold, we have Jean, Beast, Morph, Forge, Storm. So they are the ones going after Bastion in his island that they discovered. They mentioned throughout. Not only do they want to obviously destroy Bastion since he's kind of controlling all the Sentinels, but also try to heal the people and put them back as humans, or at least give them back their freedom. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We have some really cool fights as they approach the island for Bastion. Storm takes to the air to destroy some Sentinels that Bastion is controlling. We also see Morph transforms into the Hulk, which that was a really cool cameo. And really interested to figure out how Morph's powers work. Maybe that's why Sinister was so interested in them. So, and then we get the big blowout is uh, Jean facing off against Mr. Sinister. They have a really cool battle. We do eventually see that Cable has been, his mind has been kind of hacked like Madeline Pryor was. We see a little red diamond, which means that Sinister is in control. So he begins to attack Jean. They go into this massive telekinetic battle. Even Scott can feel it. He can feel the fight because Jean reaches out to him. And I don't know. It appears that Jean might have died because the connection got cut off. So we don't really know. We also know that Beast went into Bastion's lair with Morph. They were gonna put a collar on Bastion to like pretty much. It's kind of the same colors that they would put on the mutants to restrain their power. So but we don't know. Everything's kind of nebulous there. We'll probably figure out that stuff in the next episode. Meanwhile, in Asteroid M, we see the team invades very quickly, very easily. They get in there because there's not a lot of people in Asteroid M. I don't know how Magneto is going to, if he just wishes that three people continue the human race or the mutant race. I guess I don't know what his plan is there. It's not very clear. But Charles continues to argue and try to like he keeps trying to talk to Magneto about what's going on, and Magneto finally like he grabs a piece of metal and just tells him to shut up, which was a really interesting moment. That was really fun actually. I think it's something that Magneto probably has wanted to do for a long, long time. Meanwhile, all the other X Men kind of pair up and do a fight. Jubilee fights with Roberto. They really go all out. Like Roberto hurts Jubilee, and she hurts him back after the bond that we had seen throughout the last few episodes. That one really hurt too. Ultimately, Logan rips the helmet off from Magneto, and Magneto is about to be controlled by the professor so that he can turn everything back. But Scott delays that. He shoots at the professor with his eye beams, and then that causes Magneto or his control to be loose. Um, this is when Wolverine goes and stabs Magneto in the back, and then we get one of the coolest moments. If you have read the Fatal Attractions storyline in the comics, Magneto grabs Wolverine with his magnetic powers and rips out the adamantium out of his body. There's a really cool cover for that. I'll probably do a little short on that, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that was pretty gnarly, and that's how we end the episode. So everything's still up in the air. I almost wish they had just given us both episodes today, but I guess we'll have to wait one more week for the finale of X-Men 97. So, if you enjoyed this, let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me know what you think about the season so far. Any more Easter eggs or things that I missed, let me know in the channel in the comments. We can definitely talk about that during our live show. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.